So I'm Echo Sensei, and I've been here for a long time, since the beginning of the Zen Center. I moved here with Seizen Roshi in like the end of 1999, and um, and then the Zen Center started in the beginning of 2000, and uh, and so yeah, so it's been, wow, um, what a great, I don't know, story we have, the narrative. What a great unfolding of the Dharma here. And we've been up and down and come back around. Um, and so I'm bringing that up because I'm speaking from a different perspective today. I've been Most of the talks I've given and the participation I've had has been as a representative of the Zen Center, of the Sweetwater Zen Center. And today I'm not representing the Zen Center. Uh, Technically, I'm I've shifted roles from a Zen Center like core teacher to a guest teacher. And so basically I'm functioning as a guest teacher, like we have sometimes we have guest teachers. And so my talks will be I won't give as many talks, but I'll still be here every, month and every other month. So my talks will be maybe slightly less um, in number, but I'm still here and I still live here and I still practice here. But so anyway, I wanted to introduce that shift, this shift in me and the shift in the structure, of the center in this way. Um, and it's for a variety of reasons. My It's agreement, right? I've talked with Seizen and Choa, and we've talked about it, and we've all basically come to an agreement that I'll be in a guest teacher position. Uh, and for me, it makes sense personally because I'm not participating like I used to. Um, my participation has dropped, and I know that, like, that's pretty obvious, right? That's not a secret. Everybody sees, oh, Echo's not here again. I'm just not participating in the full schedule. Um, I haven't participated in a full schedule in like 10 years. But I was doing as much as I could. I was really trying to be here for as much as I could, and really putting pressure on myself to be here, to like make sure I try to show up for everything I can. And so uh, the difference is now I'm not really doing that. I'm not trying to show up for everything. And so for my own reasons, uh, internal and external. Um, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about that, and then also talk about some Dharma related concepts and encouragement for you. Um, and so, I think it's good for everybody to kind of to understand that what the path is, like how we fit into the Zen Center. So, right, to be a Sweetwater Zen Center teacher, right, is a very specific niche. Has a particular personality and a particular vibe. There's other Zen teachers around here within miles who have a different emphasis in their teaching, and so they wouldn't fit in necessarily as a Sweetwater teacher. So every Zen teacher and Zen center has its own flavor and emphasis. Um, and so it is a fairly specific model that we follow here. And the Dharma talks follow a vibe and sort of there's expectations there about how it sounds. And my personality just as kind of a rebel and a thinking outside the box. I'm always pushing the boundaries. I'm always talking about things that are just a little, is that Zen or is it not? I consider myself someone who holds the edges, right? There's people who hold the center, right? And that's what the abbot does. The abbot's job is to hold the center. It's like holding down the core practice and teachings that we want to continually reinforce. And my personality is holding the edges. Where does Zen stop and something else start? Can I talk about love for 6 months? Have that be the main thing I'm emphasizing. Can I talk about the 12 steps, for years? And if I'm just talking about 12 steps over and over, is that pushing the boundary? Um, if I talk about, can I talk about different ways to wake up and have awakening experiences that aren't traditional Zen? Where's that boundary? Where does the talk overlap and become something that's not quite the center, the core of what we reinforce as a Zen center, right? And it's all fine and good. I've been very supported to push these edges and talk about things that are maybe not Zen tradition. I feel very supported here, and so it's not like a conflict. It's more like, oh, okay, can I can I not participate and talk about things that are maybe not Zen? It's anyway. I've pushed the boundary as much as I can. Like, where does my Zen stop and something else start? And that's all fine and good, right? That's not a problem. I'm just kind of describing for you my personal journey with this and kind of how I see myself fitting into the Dharma. Um, and then I love Zen. I love talking about Zen and traditional koans in a way that is core to our Sweetwater flavor. Um, but at this point, I'm excited to. I don't know. Part of the conversations is like, oh, you can talk about other things if you want, if that's your interest. And it is. I am interested in talking about other things. So there will be, talks in the future where I might talk about things that aren't necessarily Zen at all, um, as a guest teacher, and that makes sense. Um, but I'm still here. I'm still practicing, and I'm still available for any one-on-one teaching and any group connections. So if anybody ever wants to work with me or study with me in any way, I'm certainly available and happy to be available. Um, I I love the Sangha and I love all of you, and I'm you know very excited about the future of connecting with everybody in a variety of ways. Um, and so anyway, that's just the introduction, right? I'm just kind of getting that out out there to share with you that you won't see me as much. You will see me just as much as you have seen me recently, which is not very much. So you're not going to be missing much. There's not going to be a change in how I'm participating and practicing. It's just a more of a redefinition of what we're calling it. Um, but I'm excited, I'm inspired. Um, I work on my spiritual path every week and every day in a variety of ways. And so I am inspired. And I'm inspired for uh, in different ways, you know, like waking up, right? I want everybody in the Sangha, everybody who participates and practices to have this awakening experience, to to uh, to realize oneness, to experience oneness and experience emptiness. Uh, and so I work hard to think about how I can share so that can happen, so that I can help that happen. And so I truly care about that. That's kind of like my core emphasis. That's my core intention, is for everybody to have an awakening experience. And of course, the awakening experience does not define Zen, right? That in itself is not Zen. Zen is really about sitting quietly. That's the bulk of Zen practice, is sitting quietly. And sitting quietly doesn't necessarily lead to awakening, right? There's no formula for sitting that says if you sit this much, you're going to have an awakening experience. They're two different intentions um, that certainly overlap, right? They overlap, but they're not the same thing. And so, yeah, holding it down and sitting, those of you who are holding it down and sitting consistently, that is the foundation of Zen. And the awakening experience can happen in any tradition, and it can happen in any circumstance. Usually it's not happening while we're sitting quietly. Uh, Often the sitting gives us a foundation to let go of our stuck places, to start to open up and relax so our energy can move. And then that can facilitate, that can lead to an opening. Um, and again, right, this is how I see it. I'm not representing the Zen Center. I can say things and not be trying to encourage you from this perspective um, of a core Sweetwater teaching. And I'm not trying to be contrary either. I'm not trying to teach something that's different. Um, I'm just feeling a little more freedom to express myself, uh, coming from my experience and how I feel about it and my true self, which may or may not be Zen, technically. So anyway, with that in mind, I just want to talk about a couple of things that have come up, talking with people, and I want to encourage all of you in your Zen practice and your spiritual practice. Um, and I also want to just to mention briefly something that we talked about yesterday as a community. As a community yesterday, we got together and we did counsel about racism and basically based on some things that had come up and people were unhappy about some things, and so we wanted to kind of talk about the Zen Center's culture of anti-racism and how it has shown up and some of the mistakes that were made. Right, we've made mistakes. People have been offended. Um, by, I don't know, I guess we call it micro um, offenses, micro racist offenses. And I'm not sure that that's a thing. I mean, there's overt racism that's like somebody says something that's truly racist or is trying to be racist. But then there's a whole other level of sort of unconscious things where it's like somebody said something and it came out and it sounded or was interpreted as being racist. But the intention maybe wasn't there, or the intention wasn't there to be racist. Um, and so it's just powerful that we were able to get together as a Sangha and talk about it and share our intentions. Anti-racism is our stance as a Sangha. We all are clear about that. And then within that, we're all kind of struggling with how do we fit into that? Do I exhibit any micro racist offenses in my language, in my beliefs, and how I accept people at the Zen Center? Um, so it's a real question of practice. How do we micro offend people? And I'm not even sure that's the right or best political way of talking about it as a micro racism offense. All I know is that all of us here are really striving to be anti-racist. And then if it comes out wrong sometimes, or we do things that are uh, not thoughtful or upsetting, then we try to atone for it. And Alan was here yesterday, and I appreciated a point he made about assuming positive intent. And so that's part of the practice, I think, is, you know, we want to assume that everybody has good intentions. And so if something comes out funny, we want to practice, certainly we're trying to be anti-racist. And at the same time, if somebody says something that could be interpreted as racist, we want to assume positive intent and give the benefit of the doubt until it's clarified that there was not positive intention. And so these are kind of the two sides that have come up that we're working with. Um, and it was also pointed out, right, that on a deeper level that we all are suffering due to our stuck ideas, right? We're all, the root of our suffering comes from something deeper than race and gender and preference. Um, and that to end that suffering, to end the suffering that does come out as racist, right? To end that suffering underneath is a practice of uh, letting go of the self, letting go of the ideas of race, um, letting go of the ideas of the differences, and to tap into a deeper experience of we are all human and not even necessarily human, right? We are all sentient beings on this planet together, in this galaxy, in this universe, including the neighbor dogs, um, who has a lot to say today. Um, so underneath, right, underneath that, right, there's the suffering that the dog is experiencing is the same suffering that we experience. There's a discontent, and there's a desire to be heard, and there's a need to experience oneness. Uh, and so, yeah, of course, right, talking about racism and anti-racism is essential practice. It's an essential part of our practice to talk about these things. And then also to reinforce that underneath all that is that we are all connected, uh, and we want to connect from that place. Um, and so, that's part of the value of our community, right? To be able to come together and talk about these things is the value of participating in community. And so, me, for example, even if I'm not representing the Zen Center, I want to show up. I want to participate, and I want to connect. I want to chime in. We should all do that every time the ambulance drives by. That's an experience of oneness. All right, another spiritually related topic I wanted to encourage you with is this element of faith. in our lives. And I want to encourage all of you in your faith. And what I mean by that is, so for example, me, right? I'm doing less fitting into or participating in a particular Zen way, but I have faith that whatever I do is Zen. I have faith that whatever I do is my true self. No matter what that is, whether I'm suffering in the moment or I'm feeling joy and empowerment, both of those are my true self. And whatever I'm going through in the moment, that's the faith that I have is my true self. So I have faith in my practice. I have faith in myself. So it's, if any of you out there are feeling like you're not participating enough, or you're not doing enough, or you're not practicing enough, I want to encourage you to have faith that that is your true self. That is the exact amount that your true self needs to practice right now. And so I just think that can't be reinforced enough. I think it's so powerful. I tend to be hard on myself. I tend to judge myself and think, oh, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm not doing what I should do. I'm not doing enough. And so for me, I realized at some point in my practice that I've really tried to do the right thing. I've really tried to work on myself. I've really tried to practice. And so from here on out, whatever I do is an extension of my practice. It's a result of my practice. And so I have faith, right? I make mistakes. I make microaggressions, or I can say things that offend people. I'm not trying not to do that. What I'm trying to do is to accept myself when I do that. And so this acceptance of whatever comes out of my mouth, whatever actions I take, are my true self. Even if they cause suffering, even if they are not necessarily what I think I want to do. And so, it's easy to hear that and be like, well, I can just say anything then. I can just say anything I want. And I'm like, yeah, go for it. I invite us all to say whatever we want. And the reality is we want to be kind. We want to be connected. We want to support each other. And we want to be helpful. That's really what we want when we have total freedom. And so give ourselves that total freedom. Give yourself total freedom to say anything you want, do anything you want, anytime. And have faith that whatever comes out is your true self. Okay, and so that includes participation. Participation in Zen Center activities. So the freedom that can come from that, is beautiful. I feel the freedom of that, right? And I have felt the freedom of that, even when I've not felt free, right? My current job is working well. I like it. It doesn't stress me out, and I don't feel anxiety there, as opposed to the last two jobs that I talked about for endlessly, just all the really immense anxiety I went through with my last couple of jobs. Um, Even in that state, being in anxiety, being kind of miserable and like feeling super stressed, I still had faith that that was my true self. In this job, where I feel happier and less stress, I feel this is my true self. So freedom doesn't always look like we're having fun, right? We can find freedom in suffering. We can find this freedom that this is our true self, even when I'm feeling like, whoa, I'm out of place and it's not working and I'm really stressed out and I have a lot of anxiety or fear. Our true self is there. And so having faith in that, right, can be a powerful tool for us to remember, to take refuge in. So we can take refuge in our faith that whatever we're going through is our true self. Uh, Even if it looks different than other people think it should, or even we feel like it should. So we got that going for us.